to the first episode of Midnight Musings. And that's just a set I'm going to be doing of videos that are kind of late at night that I'm doing kind of on the fly. So today I'll just be talking about a few things. I'll probably break it down to two videos to keep everything kind of short and sweet and go from there. First, I'm going to just touch on the Russia thing quickly. Trump Russia. I already talked a lot about it. You can see in the last video I did, I talked a lot and gave my own feeling on it. But I wanted to just touch on some of the shit I've been seeing lately that's just blown my mind. And really, this is just an ongoing thing that I don't understand why we lack nowadays nuance. We can't say certain things are true and certain things are other true. Every fucking thing in the world has to be a zero fucking sum game. And it drives me nuts. So, example, with this Trump Russia thing, I've given my thoughts about it already, but just to summarize, essentially, it comes down to there is validity to what's going on. I think the investigation's going on. They've made a number of indictments, and that has to be recognized as a real thing, as something that has to be pointed out. And with regards to the Russians interfering in the election, that has to be called out. That must be challenged, and it must be punished, because you can't do that. Of course, realizing that we've done this sort of thing in other countries doesn't matter. We still have to act and react. And I would also go to the point that the recent Trump press conference, which I haven't actually talked about yet, was incredibly weird. And his behavior, basically siding with Putin over intelligence services of the U.S. Very critical of the U.S. intelligence services, of the FBI, for their history. But when you go meet with a foreign leader, you don't behave in this kind of way. It is just like common diplomacy. And Trump's going there making that an ass of himself. And let's be frank, not saying we're angels, but Putin is also not an angel by any stretch. He's a right-wing, proto-oligarch, capitalist dictator who, oppresses his own people, kills journalists, oppresses minorities such as the Chechens in his country. So let's not sit around and say he's some sort of great leader. He's a savvy guy, to be sure, and he's playing Trump like a fucking fiddle. But let's not make him out to be a good guy. So, where I would come down on this is two things I've seen that bother me. One side is, and I don't want to get too far into what Michael Brooks, a well-known person in independent media on the progressive side, it's called the Dumb Dumb Left, which is number of people. I'm not going to mention the people I don't really care to give any respect to, but there are a number of people who are on the left who have essentially lost their fucking minds and are still living in 2016 and freaking out at any little bit because they think Bernie got fucked over. And he did get fucked over by the process. There's no denying that, but you got to move forward and try to do things constructively. These people have not, and every little thing, has led to one thing or another. So these are not really people who aren't talking about. These are like the conspiracy theorists, the people who want to talk about every little conspiracy theory. So I'm not going to get too much into that. But there are some actually very reliable and honest brokers who are still to this day very skeptical of the Russia thing. And even I have some skepticism, although a lot of that has waned, honestly, of late. And one thing I've seen is, these are people like Glenn Greenwald, who I have a lot of respect for and who do a really good job of their journalism. Even some other people in the independent leftward progressive media sphere. And essentially the point being, in some circles, like Greenwald's, it's more of a philosophical deal, and he just wants to see more evidence, and that's perfectly logical. And I'd highly encourage people to look at, like, Democracy Now! Did a a debate between him and Joe Saransoni, who's another kind of toward to the left person in terms of he runs something called Plowshares Fund. But these are two. This debate actually on Democracy Now! Was a good dichotomy of the debate within the left and how to handle Russia. Now, I do tend to say it's a real thing and we got to talk about it, and to not talk about it would be nuts. So I disagree with a lot of people I respect, but in my opinion, there's enough there that you got to go with it. My personal opinion, without seeing all the facts, of course, the investigation's ongoing, is given his behavior, I would think that they probably, I don't know if it's more like an active collusion deal as much as Trump has business dealings all over the place. He's a dirty mobster. He's who is also a businessman, and probably he owes somebody money in Russia or something. So there's something, probably it's the most basic explanation, but it's definitely a very logical thing that has to be talked about. On the flip side, that annoys me, and on the flip side, we have certain people, centrist Democrats, people who are more establishment, who are also being stupid because they're only wanting to talk about Russia. And that's also very foolish. And even just on Monday, Bernie Sanders had a town hall about how much more CEOs are making than workers, and the problems we have with regard to workers' rights. And suddenly you see people coming out of the workroom saying, "Oh, why are you talking about this? Why are you talking? You should only be talking about Russia." Fuck that shit too. Because honestly, I think Russia's real. You got to talk about it. It's a legitimate topic, but you can't only talk about that. And this is one of the fucked up things in the media. They don't talk about anything else. And my fear is this. Obviously, Russia was an issue in the election, no doubt. And there are a number of other issues that led to Trump winning. But a big issue also was that Hillary did a shitty job of running her campaign, didn't really have much of a platform, and assumed she was going to win. And it was a very centrist establishment platform that's not going to inspire anybody. It seems like people think that just because of the Russia thing, just because Trump may in fact be colluding with Putin and all that, that's going to be enough reason for a blue wave to come in the midterms and for the Democrats to win. It's not. Because for people like me who follow this shit, yeah, I see that. But 99% of people don't follow this shit. So most of them are worried about issues like healthcare, like the economy, like jobs, like wages, like these kind of things. So we got to talk about those kind of things. We got to have a platform. So when I see some of these commentators bashing people for talking about this sort of thing, I just shake my head. I'm like, do you want Trump to get more power? Do you want the Republicans to stay in power? And when you dig into a lot of these people, it turns out they have a very corporate background. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having corporate background, but you got to be honest. I mean, this is not the way you're going to win. And these centrists need to shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of fucking centrists. Centrists are the biggest bullshitters in the world. There's some honest ones, but most of them are just people who are corporate, who want to keep the status quo in order and are finding any way possible that they can keep the status quo in order while still regaining power and defeating Trump. It's not going to work, okay? The times have changed. The 90s are fucking over. All right, so you gotta come up with new strategies. You gotta come up with an outsider perspective. Hell, even Obama, who is kind of a centrist Democrat, that's how he won, because he was an outsider. That's why Hillary lost. I'm sorry, it's just true. I wish it wasn't the case, I really do, but this is the reality. So, my feeling on this is you got to talk about Russia, of course, but there's enough time to talk about Russia a little bit, and the investigation continues, and if something more concrete evidence regarding to collusion comes into place, then you can get the impeachment and everything. But you also got to talk about the bread and butter issues. You got to talk about this stuff because that's what wins and loses elections. Russia doesn't win or lose elections. Real issues, Medicare, healthcare, education, jobs, wages. These are the things you need to talk about. And I don't see anyone really on the mainstream media talking about it. So it's a real fear I have. I have a fear that Trump's going to be doing this stupid shit, behaving badly, acting borderline treasonous, and at the same time, he's going to win because they talk about this type of shit, even though in reality we know they just cover the asses of the ultra rich. But because Democrats can't get on any other thing, and if we even suggest talking about, this other stuff, you want to give shit. I still can't get past that. People want to give shit to people for talking about real issues. So hopefully we get past that. That leads to a couple other things I'm going to talk about tonight, but I'm going to stop this video for now and continue the next one.